Hello, class. I want to apologize first and foremost for not being able to type today's lesson or today's discussion post. I had surgery last week, and it's causing quite a few issues, and I'm unable to type right now. My entire arm is in a cast, so I decided I'd make a video as to at least contribute because I don't want to miss out on any other schoolwork. So this video is in response to the discussion post for this week. Just to restate, the discussion is after reading the Barraquil article. First question says, they state among pregnant women with GDM, the risk of hypoglycemia, hyperlipidomia, and polycythemia and neonatal death is higher in SGA neonates than in adequate weight or LGA neonates. However, based on Table 2, it appears that the rate of hypoglycemia is higher in LGA 10.9% than SGA 7.4%. Please discuss how the authors could make the claim given the data in Table 2. Are they correct or incorrect with their claim? Now, I would like to first state that I believe they are correct in their claim. The question, it's kind of confusing because it kind of equates risk to rate. And once you look at the numbers, yes, the rate of hypoglycemia is higher in the LGA group, and that can be sort of misleading. But risk is not equated to rate. It's not the same thing. So I went ahead and did some calculations with the numbers that are in Table 1, and I did the rates, and I might have done this incorrectly. If I have, please somebody tell me so I can correct it and learn from my mistakes. But what I did is I took all of the members that were in the SGA group, and I created and all the members that are in the non-SGA group, so LGA and AGA, and I created a 2 by 2 table. And the top of the table is for those that have hypoglycemia and those that do not, and the that would be the horizontal axis, and the vertical axis of the table was uh, those with SGA and those without SGA. And I took the n value and I subtracted SGA from that, and I got the non-SGA groups, and I made a little 4 by 4, 2 by 2 square. And so there's four different numbers in there, and I did the calculation for relative risk for both the SGA and LGA um, as it relates to hypoglycemia, and I did the same with as it relates to prenatal death. And I ran those numbers, and I don't want to bore everybody with the numbers that I got, but I ended up making a table, and the relative risk that I got for SGA with as it relates to hypoglycemia, I got a relative risk of 1.45. When I did that exact same method with LGA, I got a relative risk of 0.82. So that tells me that yes, even though the rate is higher, that there is a greater risk uh, of hypoglycemia as it relates to SGA when compared to hypoglycemia as it relates to LGA. The risk is just higher. And when I did it the same formula, same format with death, I found that the relative risk for death as it relates to SGA was 6.22, and conversely, as death relates to LGA, it was 0.367. Now I'm going to try and type up these numbers and these calculations that I did so I can at least share them with the group. I'm having a very hard time typing since I can't really use my left arm, but I wanted to at least explain where I came with this information, why I came to this conclusion. So I do agree that the authors were correct in what they stated. We cannot equate rate to risk because they're completely separate. And once you do the calculations, you see that the SGA group is at a higher risk of developing things such as hypoglycemia and unfortunate incidences such as death. The rate is higher. And another thing that I did notice is when we look at the raw numbers and we look at the charts, out of all the people that were tested that were in this study, the total number was 3,413 people. The number of people that were in the SGA group was 287, and the number of people that was in the LGA group was 736. So the SGA group is a lot smaller than the LGA group. And so when you take that into consideration and you look at the numbers and how much they match up between LGA and SGA, you have to take into consideration that SGA is a much smaller subset, a much smaller group within this entire population, not population, but entire sample that we're examining. And that plays a factor because if we look at just the line where it says hypoglycemia, and we see that in the LGA group, 29 of them 29 of them had hypoglycemia, and in the SGA group, 18 of them. Now, while those numbers are pretty close to themselves, that when you take into consideration the actual pool that they're drawing from, it's a huge difference. Um, these are just some of the thoughts that I had. If anybody has any questions, remarks, any criticisms that will help me understand this better, because I did struggle with it, I would really look forward to those, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing any comments that anyone has. Thank you.